say 39.
Number 1.
39.
1.
38.
37.
36.
35.
34.
33.
32.
31.
30.
29.
28. 27.
26.
25.
24.
23.
22.
21.
20.
19.
18. 17. 16.
15.
14.
13.
12.
11.
10. 9. 8.
7. 6.
5.
4.
3.
2.
1. It's time for mouthwash. Giddy up. Okay, my internet froze up. Awesome. Hey, hi, welcome to the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty fresh take on politics. We are fighting the gremlins tonight for sure. Our guest is trying to get online. Hold on, this is him now. Let's see what he's got to say.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is working or not.
It's not working. That's what we get for a test run. No, I don't see you backstage. So
I see myself on the screen here.
okay, well, I don't know which one you're on. Because you should be backstage. So yeah, we're live on the air, by the way, Senator Thomas. Trying to get you on here. So
Let me try it again.
yeah, let's try it again. So
Okay.
we'll see if we can get him on here. So that's always fun doing live TV. We did a dry run on Sunday and everything worked just fine. And he's actually on what we call slow time. He's on Central Time. So we had that to get through. But hey, we actually got a good show. Hopefully we can get him on here because we're going to talk about guns, you know, and the Second Amendment. And here recently in Indianapolis, we've had a mayor that's come out and said that he's going to ban guns this way and that way. And I think Senator Thomas had a bill that he got through passes a law that says he can't do that. But we'll see. You know how it is. City against the state. Always fun. I do have Lucy Brenton in the back here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her on and hopefully we can get, like I said, Sunday, no problem. So let's bring on Lucy. Lucy, how's it going? I'm going to put you on the big screen here. Oh, no, maybe not. We'll just do
There
it.
we go.
There we go. That's better.
I just want to say that I want men with guns to violently enforce my opinion on my neighbors. I've turned statist.
So what's that mean? You want no guns or what? You want guns or?
Well, you know, my lefty friends and and I'll say my lefty enemies, they all seem to say that we need to ban guns and it's going to keep the children safe, but they never want to take guns away from the military or from the police. And I see a lot of citizens of many countries being killed by American guns, even to the point where, remember Fast and the Furious, how our attorney general was arranging gun sales down into Mexico, and then those same guns came back over the border and killed United States citizens. So when I say that I want men with guns to violently enforce my opinions on my neighbors, I just want to do what every other statist does. You know, if you don't pay enough tribute, then I want men to show up with guns at your house and forcefully take the money from you.
I just heard I should probably say this for conspiracy theory, but I actually got another one. But actually, I'm going to save it for that because it was just today I heard that. You know, it seems like there's a lot of talk about guns, and I missed. Did the intro play through for you? Because it's sort of.
It did for me.
Okay,
It
at
did
the
for
end
me.
when I said only outlaws would have guns.
Yes, that showed too.
I see Tiffany back here. You just got one more to get because Jordan's moving. His internet's not working, so he's got one. Let's get Tiffany in here. So, hey, Tiffany, how's it going?
Great. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me turn my phone. Is that better?
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. You got it. Yeah, Jordan's moving and doesn't have his internet on and everything else. And I figured you ladies would have good questions. And we're still having trouble with Senator Tom's coming on here. Like I said, did a dry run Sunday with him and no problems. And he was even good because he was talking about how he had a flip phone and his staff said, you better get a regular phone. And so, but hey, I was impressed. He got on the first time, but here we are.
He got on with his flip phone?
No, he got on a computer, but he had a flip phone, and then they made him get a phone that was. And I'm like, I think the smarter the phone gets, the more complicated your life gets. It seems so. But,
Give me one moment. I'm going to disappear and come back.
Okay, you are okay. Yeah, not in the middle of the ending. So, Tiffany, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I was at a Noblesville GOP meeting. We were talking about county and city appointments on different boards. And we ended up having a really great chat about the library. Micah and I were there. So it's
that library could be the death of you. We're gonna look at aisle D for death, and Tiffany's book's gonna be in there. That got me. Yeah. So let me see. Let me call up again here and see if we can get him on the line here while we're doing this. Waiting on Lucy. This is a really professional show here that we got going on.
I know, right? As I'm like literally adjusting my stuff. So I'm running on my phone today. I left my computer at work.
Okay, I got the voicemail there. So I wonder what's up because, like I said, Sunday it was just perfect. It went great.
Okay, there. I'm ready now.
You got it going? Yeah, great.
Yeah, I got it.
You look good. And we need to get Lucy back here. I don't know if I should play something or not. We've got Senator Tom's here. So he's calling me back here. Let's see what we got here.
What's our topic?
It's guns. Come on, you gotta. Oh, I didn't send out the preview. You have no idea. Let's see. Guns. Here. Hello.
Yeah, it's not working, John.
You can't get on.
I mean, I'm
Otis.
It says there's like 10 guests or something. I don't know. And I got a screen here. I'm looking at myself, but I can't see anything else.
Oh man, you're in the wrong. Maybe I can do. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can figure out where you are. Hold on. Hey Tiffany, fill the air for a second, so we get this.
So this is Otis. Otis, you want to say hi?
I can't. I mean that link. I sent it to you again.
Say hi to Lucy. Hi, Lucy.
Nope.
We'll go back to
not in that one.
This is Otis. I got Otis at the Humane Society.
You just sent this to me.
Yeah, try it again. So yeah, because we got
Otis is adorable.
We should have three of us on there.
So,
oh, Lucy just switched her thing to a machine gun. All right.
He's the best.
Oh, that's not a machine gun. Oh my gosh.
It's a machine
gun.
It's a hunting
Wait till you see peeps on the streets. The guy asks the guy what's his favorite gun, and he's like, he said, yeah, I said, these are bugs. He said some kind of gun, and I'm like, what's that? he finds out what's just like. So
then say hi. Otis is on the show.
We have another rescue kitten that's like little bitty.
Oh, it's so cute. Lisa showed me a picture.
Oh, do you see it? We're not having a kitten. I'm not having that kitten. She's just.
They say people look like their pets.
Well, you do have the similar haircut.
Yeah, I don't think he's scrunching his nose up. So, well, we got Senator Toms. He's on another call with like 10 other people. I don't know what's going on there with.
Well, let's talk about the news. What's been in the newspaper? How was your rally? How was the rally on Saturday?
It was good. What did you think, Lucy? You were there speaking. I thought it went well.
I thought it was amazing. The weather was perfect. The company was good. I still didn't take home a Mouthwash T-shirt, even though you brought one for me. I know.
Jordan got two. Jordan got two. It was so hot that he was sweating really through the first one, and we gave him another one. So he got two. So we got Tiffany's. But he moved from Lawrence over to Zionsville.
Yep.
For the closest to the work, something like that. So, but his internet's not working, so he's out there. So, hey, wait a second.
Is the village of Zionsville ready for him?
Let's do some questions from who else is running for lieutenant governor? Because Micah announced that he was running for lieutenant governor, and that basically gets picked at our convention. But Lucy, fill us in on how the libertarians do that. They just pick one at convention or something. The same
Yeah,
way?
we actually run, and because we're not statists who believe in enforcing our opinions and things on our neighbors, we take zero public dollars to pick our candidates. So we have a private convention, and those who are members of the Libertarian Party vote, and that's how it's decided. Unlike with the Republicans and the Democrats, where millions and millions of dollars is literally set aside to pick to make the public pick of the Republican candidates, because of course, and Democrats, because of course there are many candidates behind the scenes that never make it to be one of the front runners for all kinds of reasons. And then the final marketing plan and advertising that's paid for by Hoosier taxpayers occurs during the primary season.
Yeah, I know. So we can tell how everybody votes in the parties and throw them out if they run. So you may have problems, but the parties have problems. So is there I know that Donald Rainwater's running for the governor.
Yes,
Is
Donald
there a
Rainwater has
lieutenant
announced for
governor?
governor.
Who's
Are you going to run for
is he
lieutenant governor,
picking some?
Lucy?
I have zero plans to run for lieutenant governor.
If you
I
are a
have
lieutenant
so
governor,
much
we
to
have to
do.
salute you.
Yeah, in fact, I have very sad
Double
news
salute.
to announce, and this, John, can commiserate with me. We had murderous raccoons enter our pole barn.
Oh,
And even though I had made like a bathtub with goat wire and like stapled it, up, and I thought my coop was very secure, I literally thought I had created Fort Knox. The raccoons were like the U.S. government. They tunneled under and they took, I'm making light of it, but I have zero chickens left.
zero?
Zero. They murdered
How many
them
did
all.
they eat?
2 roosters and 13 hens.
Holy garbage!
Raccoons?
Are you sure
Yes.
they were raccoons or
For
were they?
sure. They've been back 3 nights in a row looking for more.
Oh.
So we're gonna
man.
lay off and not have any chickens for a while.
A maximum security
A
chicken
dingo
farm is
ate
what
my
we need.
baby.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Isn't that sad
Oh
too?
man, that's
Yeah.
terrible.
So
The
we're gonna switch
possum
to
got mine.
hardware cloth, which is like 1 inch by 1 inch or ½ inch by ½ inch. Because the goat fence, those little raccoons are very strong, so they were able to literally pull the fencing apart. And it was buried underneath the coop, and I had it like a bathtub up the sides, and stapled to the wood. And I had thought that I had done a really good job, and obviously the raccoons are more experienced at this than I am. But I feel very sad for my chickens because I love them. They were wonderful. They did wonderful things for me, like give me butt nuggets, and those were awesome.
We should have a moment of silence.
That's
Yeah.
terrible. It's like there's nothing worse than going out and seeing it.
Well,
And that
I'm
had
just
to be a
sad
mess,
because
too.
I
Did
found
they
out.
take them too, or did they?
Yeah, in
did-
fact, there were a lot that were dead. Half were dead in the coop, and half were missing. And what they had done, the only way that I figured this out, sadly, is because one of the trigger warning, if anybody has a problem with this, but one of the chickens that it had murdered, it tried to pull out through the hole, and so it got stuck on the fence. And so the dead chicken was half in and half out of the pole barn, and so then the other chickens were, in various places. Dead.
Hey, I got really good
So
news
all
right
of your
now. I see
chickens are
Senator
dead. None
Combs
of them
back there.
survived.
Well, there were 2 hens and a rooster that were badly damaged well, I say badly damaged. They were clearly the roosters really tried to defend their girls, right? And so I got them out of the coop and got them some water and everything and put them in the shade, and they were still ambulating. But I think they decided that they didn't like where they lived anymore, and they went into the woods and they haven't come back.
Oh wow!
All
I'm
right.
so sorry.
Yeah, very sad.
Yeah, it's
Very sad.
well, you live out too. I had possums that got mine. That's just as bad. But hey, we got good news. I see Senator Tom. So, ladies, I love this talk about dead chickens and dogs and cats and everything. But I got to get our guest on here. So let me. You know what I had to do? I had to just like restart the whole show. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm not from the countdown, but we'll just start from the beginning. So, and then I'll bring on Senator Thoms. Then we'll get to it. You can start grilling him and doing what you guys do best. So we'll see you in a minute. Hi, and welcome to the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty, fresh take on politics. And yeah, we had a little rough start tonight, but we are going. I see all the guests in the panel backstage, and we're going to have a good conversation about the Second Amendment and maybe a couple other things. But, you know, it seems to be a sort of a hot topic right now, guns. And you saw that little quote I had there. If guns are outlawed, then only outlaws will have guns. And some anonymous person said that. So I imagine maybe it was from the Wild Wild West or something. We'll imagine that. We got a great guest tonight. This is Senator Jim Tomes. He's from down near Evansville, District 49. And you know, my theory is if 80% of why I'll vote for somebody is because they pick up the phone and you can get a hold of them. And this guy he fits that bill. I left a message. He called me back, came on Sunday. We had a nice chat about things. I think you're going to be he's a down to earth guy. We'll bring him on here and we're going to see how Senator Tomes is doing here tonight. There we go. We got you. Got you. Yeah, it's what could go wrong? I think I jinxed it when I talked to you, but we figured out the time gap. So you're down in Evansville. You're still got daylight, right?
Right. Well, it's good. It's dark now, but yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. So Senator Tomes, thanks for coming on the Mouthwash Show. You're a brave man. We have good conversations here. So tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and. You got an interesting background. You're like some of us working folk that have decided to get into a little bit of politics. So give us a little background.
Well, yeah, a little bit. My wife and I, we've been married going on 53 years now, and we got 3 children, 4 grandchildren. I served in the military 3 years and a year in Vietnam, 101st Airborne. And what I did for a living was I drove commercial trucks. I retired from Yellow Freight Systems in 2006. In 33 years. And what's neat is that I'm a retired Teamster truck driver and a union served for 21 years and a Republican state senator. And nobody up there can match those kind of credentials.
Yeah. Union and Republican doesn't go together sometimes, but hey, you seem to make it work.
Well, I always felt that it'd be nice for a working person to be a legislator because a working person, I can identify with I'm happy for the people who have money and all that, and that they are legislators and professionals. But I also think it's nice to have somebody from the working class that knows the struggles of working people and what it means to get to Friday and still have a few dollars left in your wallet. So I ran for office in 2010 for the Senate, and we had a lot of support. And I wound up getting elected. And this is my 13th year as a state senator, and I really have enjoyed it because I really like being able to help people. I really like that part of it.
Yeah, and hey, I've seen you down at the State House, and you're one of the guys that are out there working, twisting arms and getting stuff done. And I actually came to the Senate and testified for your the illicit materials in the libraries. I don't want to offend anybody by saying what it was. We didn't make it through that year, but we got it stuck. We got some of it in there this year. But and we're going to talk about some other stuff that you've done. So, but first, I'm going to go ahead. I went down to the NRA convention when it was here in town, and I got a little press pass. I want to thank Gabe Whitley for getting me that press pass. And I was able to go to the Beretta booth, and that was amazing. I've never been anything like that. There was knives and guns and everything there. And I met a guy from Italy that was with the Beretta company. I think I thought he was French. I couldn't. that wasn't good. But then I interviewed a couple people. So we're going to play that, and I think you'll find it interesting. And then the panel's going to come on, and then we're going to start grilling Senator Tomes about this 2A and all this other stuff. I know you'll be ready for it. So here we go. Let's watch the peeps on the streets, and then we'll bring our panel on. This is John Schmitz for the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty fresh take on politics. And I'm down here at the NRA convention in Indianapolis, Indiana. We're going to see what the peeps on the streets have to say. So I'm here at the Beretta booth at the Indianapolis Convention Center. I'm here with
Francesco Valente,
one of the people with Beretta. And I'm going to ask him a couple questions like, how long has Beretta been in business?
It's going to be 500 years in 2026. So we're approaching a very important anniversary for this group.
Okay, 500 years. That's like, did they even invent bullets back then? I mean, I guess so. We had like Spanish wars and things. What is the background of Beretta? I mean, they're not USA, right?
Originally the company is from Italy. Gardone Valtrompia is northeast of Milan. But Beretta has been in the States for now 45 years officially as Beretta USA. So
have you, as far as sales and guns, have you been noticing an uptick in gun sales, or have they been sort of steady, or what would be your analysis of how gun sales are going?
Well, the past few years, since 2020, have shown a continued growth in the sales, in the in demand for the industry as a whole.
Marketing and all that, you try to figure out why. Is there any particular reason that you think that you can say, hey, or just people just getting more into sports shooting or maybe protection? What would you say if you had to pick one has been more of an uptick?
I think there have been at least a couple drivers for that. If you look for personal defense, over this past several years, there's been an increased need for protection of the individual and their homes, and that has helped a lot the sales of handguns or tactical shotguns. You've seen some of that. But at the same time, people have sort of rediscovered the outdoors. More and more people have learned that they can enjoy the outdoors on their own or in the company of friends, and that has really helped the sale of hunting and competition products like our shotguns, for example, or our rifles.
All right. Do you own any firearms?
Yes, I do.
How many might you own?
About 7 or 8.
7 or 8. Now, do you own those firearms for personal protection, for sporting, or for both?
Personal protection, sporting, hunting.
Everything. Okay. The new law here in Indiana, constitutional carry. Do you think that's had a negative effect on crime, or a positive effect, or maybe nothing?
I think it's a very positive effect.
Okay. And so when you say that, why would you think that? Because people don't know who's got a gun, or?
People don't know you have a gun or not, and they're less likely to come up and do something to you.
How long have you been a member of the NRA?
Off and on for the past 15 years.
15 years, okay. And was there a reason that you joined, or just decided, hey, I'd like to be in this group?
I just want to support the people that are trying to protect our Second Amendment rights.
Okay, what would be your favorite firearm that you own?
My .450 Bushmaster.
All right, I don't know what a .450 is.
It's a hunting rifle.
Okay, .450 Bushmaster, so look that up. Hey, thanks a lot. Yeah. All right, ladies, thanks for doing Peeps on the Streets with me. I'm going to ask you a question here. Do you own any firearms?
Yes. Yes, I do.
All right, would you mind telling me how many? I mean,
I have a few, and then my husband has a lot.
You have that on these things. How about you?
I have a number of guns.
Okay, that's good. See, these are happy people here at the Gun Show. Would you say that you have a gun for, say, personal protection, or for sporting, or for maybe both?
Both.
Okay. Now, do you think that here in Indiana we have constitutional carry? Do you think that has affected crime negatively, positively, or just about the same?
Everyone should own a gun.
Yeah, same.
Crime will go down.
That is not the answers were yes, no, and you said everybody should have a gun. So.
Okay, bad people shouldn't have a gun, but they're going to have a gun, so we need a gun, correct?
Okay, so that sounds like a defense thing, but so do you have a permit to carry a gun?
Yes.
Okay, so what do you think about the people that don't have to have a permit now? Are you like mad at them because they don't have to have a permit to carry a gun?
No.
All right, I've lost Senator Tomes there. So yeah, and I had some protesters outside, but my file got all messed up. So hey, we lost Tiffany. So anyway, let's get our guest out here, and he gets to get on the hot seat. And so Senator Tomes, what did you think about that video of my people here at the gun show?
Well, they were happy people, and I enjoyed watching it. They said there was over 77,000 people there for that convention, and that's the kind of attitude everybody had. They was all happy, just happy people.
Those were particularly happy. I had a hard time getting people on camera. I tell you that one. I mean, I'm pretty smooth at getting people on camera. I don't know what it is. I should be a car salesman or something, but that one was rough.
Maybe they thought you were CNN. I don't know.
Yeah, I do. I think so. I mean, I tried to join a motorcycle club, and they thought I was a cop. So that's probably what it is. But it was interesting. And I did have some protesters, but my file got corrupted. And I was like, but there was protesters outside. But it was a small group. But yeah, I wouldn't even want to guess how much guns and how much money was involved in that. I mean, it was the whole convention floor, and it was people were snapping it up.
Well, John, there was 14 acres of guns there.
Wow. I mean, it was. I've never seen anything like
14
that.
14 acres of guns, over 77,000 people. And you know how much crime was committed in 4 days?
That would be like the lady at that gal at the end said, "Yeah, no, yeah, I wouldn't want to go to their places." So, well, we're gonna start out some questions here, and I'm gonna go with Lucy first, since she's got that's not a machine gun. What is that behind you, Lucy?
It's a beautiful young woman with a gun. And I think that, that's exactly what we should be looking at, is just like those ladies said, everybody should own a gun. Crime would go down a lot. And how thankful we are for constitutional carry in Indiana. Of course, shortly after the constitutional carry went through, we had the Greenwood Mall shooting and was stopped by a very brave young man. So, I mean, I've just got to thank, the senators and the House in Indiana that said, you know what, we're going to recognize that the Second Amendment is a real thing, and we're not going to do anything other than support Hoosiers in their right to defend themselves.
All right, question. I get to do this. See, now, Jim, Lucy does this on occasion. She'll come out and she'll talk about
I just
stuff,
lecture.
And then she doesn't have a question, but she'll have one now. What's your question?
So I am embarrassed to admit that I have not looked up your voting record, Senator Tomes, but can you share with us your feelings on the Second Amendment and how you voted on the constitutional carry bill?
Well, I voted for it. I had a bill of my own in the Senate. That one didn't get heard. The chairman wouldn't hear my bill. So we wound up with the House version of it. But just so you have a little bit of background on me, my very first bill in 2011 was the preemption law. That was a bill that told every city and town in this state of Indiana, every city council, county council, every political subdivision, mayors, chiefs of police, you're not making any more gun laws in Indiana. And all the laws you have on your books are being deleted. And we're going under the uniformity of Indiana law, which is much simpler, much less restrictive. Now, that was a major piece of legislation. And I wound up on all kind of newspapers in the state of Indiana because of that piece of legislation. But had I not done it then, I don't think I could get it done today. And that is what's protected people in Indiana, because at the time, every city had its own gun laws. So when you traveled, even though you might have had a license to carry a handgun, you didn't know what Terre Haute might have, what laws they had, or people in South Bend wouldn't know Evansville laws. And so this mishmash of all these different laws was swept away, and we went under the uniformity of state laws. And I'm glad I did that, to take the power away from the locals, who was just absolutely out of control with gun bans and bans on magazines and prohibitions. And also that year, the other bill I had was one that allowed people to transport a handgun in their car without a license to gun shops, to the gun range. And so those were the first two that I did. And I have, over the years, I passed a bill that repealed the ban on short-barreled shotguns. For the life of me, I don't know why that Class 3 gun was prohibited in Indiana, but I repealed that law. And I was also instrumental in the law that allows you to have a gun on school property as long as it's locked up and secured in the car, unseen. And I allowed for our staff at Indianapolis at the State House to be able to take their guns with them inside the State House now. So, yeah, I think I'm pretty pro that.
Thank you.
Lucy's gonna like
you for your service.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Like if there are little heart emojis that I could, throw up on the screen.
I was going to say, anytime there's freedom rings, Lucy answers. There is one thing you can say about Lucy: when liberty is set free, she's nearby on that, and that's Lucy for liberty. That's perfectly there. So Tiffany, what I saw your eyes perk up when he said that. What was that? The law that you talked about there?
The preemptive.
The preemptive.
Yeah, for some reason I can't remember that. Preemptive. What do you think about that, Tiffany?
That's funny, because that makes a ton of sense, and it's kind of what we see at a national level when people travel from state to state with reciprocity. So, like, two easy questions. Like, did you run on this platform trying to reform like gun laws in the state of Indiana, or is it just something that you came into?
Well, that wasn't my drive. I mean, my wife and I, we've been involved with the Second Amendment for many, many years. We got in politics back when Congressman John Hostetter decided to run for office and so forth like that. But I ran for office because I just felt, like I said earlier, I thought it'd be nice for a working, average, normal, everyday person to be a legislator too, who can understand and identify with the general population. But on the gun issue, that was important because back in 2000, well, actually in 1996, when President Clinton was going after guns and gun owners, I thought that tears it for me. I spent a year in Vietnam. I didn't come back here to have somebody tell me they're going to take my gun rights away from me. So we started a group called the Second Amendment Patriots back then in 1999, and started out with 6 or 7 guys, and we're still going to this day. We have monthly meetings, and we have generally about between 80 and 150 people every month at our meetings. And we've had every elected official or candidate except the office of president. We've had vice president, we've had U.S. senators, congressmen, state legislators, sheriffs, county coroners, you name it. We've had them over the years. So we've been involved with gun rights for a long time. And so I'm proud of that, the people that we have in our group, and our group now. Like I said, we turned out maybe 150 people. We had Jim Banks here a few months ago. Mike Braun was there last month, and so forth. So it's kind of nice to have that kind of connection that you can, express your concerns about things, especially when it comes to the gun rights or other liberties that we enjoy.
Second question. Now that we have constitutional carry, what's next? What do you see that's next for gun rights in the state of Indiana?
Well, I'm kind of concerned about, there's a push to try to get the financial institutions to not work with anything related with firearms. The firearm manufacturers, and some of these firearm manufacturers, they're struggling right now financially. And if we're going to have financial institutions that will refuse to cooperate with them, whether it's loans or any types of financial matters like that, because of their product that they make, that's a serious matter. And I did try to do something a couple years ago with that, but that's a tough one to deal with. But I think it's something that we are facing, and we can't afford to have this industry go out of business. Not only for our own self, but these companies manufacture firearms for our military as well.
Right. And I know that Beretta was one that has done a lot of work for the military as well. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and play. We got Mark Small talk, and he's going to bring up a question here about right wingers do more mass shooting than anyone. He's going to bring it up again. He brought it up before, and so he brought it up again, but he's got some opinions on this stuff. So he'll raise some questions for us. So this is one of our segments, Mark Small talk, and let's see what he's got to say this week.
Hi, I'm Mark Small. This is Small Talk on a rather warm evening here in June. I'm going to talk about guns. Now, people talk about they have a right to bear arms. It's not an individual right under the Second Amendment. And I'm not advocating repeal of the Second Amendment. People have just been paid money to construe it differently than it always was before in history. But that's because we're no longer under rule of law in this country. And I'll get to that later. But realize last week I said something about violence. Mass shootings are more often committed by the right wing. You might want to check. Anti-Defamation League did a study on that. AP News reported that. That's pretty consistent. What about a right to bear arms in the state under our state constitution? Now, that's kind of clear. It says the people should have a right to bear arms for the defense of themselves and the state. When there's a conflict between the federal constitution and the state constitution, the test is which provides greater protection. If it's the state, then the state provision supersedes the federal. But even the state is not absolute in that right. Let's set that aside for a moment. What do? Your right to your property supersedes anything else as far as rights are concerned and somebody coming onto your property. If you don't want people to carry guns on your property, you tell them to get off. That's where we have to protect ourselves from people with guns. And if they say, well, I'm going to stay on here because I got a gun, it kind of proves the point of they're the ones causing the problem. But in the meantime, we have to look at how we change the courts, how we approach enforcement of rights, and we have to look at element by element. Because so long as we have justices on a Supreme Court in the United States, for example, who didn't tell the truth during Senate Judiciary Committee confirmation hearings in order to get on the court, and they receive large sums of money from people, and we can't tell who, then we have to defend ourselves because we no longer have a rule of law. But we have to look at what provisions in the law allow us protection. I'm Mark Small, somewhat cynical. This is Small Talk, Peace, Love, Happiness.
So Mark, yeah, he's all over the place on that one. But one of the things that I did find out was that our Indiana Constitution really fortifies the Second Amendment in the Indiana Constitution, and I think I may not be right on this. Is even stronger than the national Constitution. But I don't know. You're the guy that makes the law, so tell me.
Well, your gentleman you had on, he was all over this radar screen. The comment about right wingers, that's absolutely ridiculous to make a statement like that. And he talks in manners that he's willing to set all of our constitutional rights out there on the table and dice them up a little bit. In today's environment, that would be a terrible mistake because of the people that we now have in society that have no appreciation for what was accomplished for us more than 200 years ago. And they didn't do a thing in the world to get it. It was handed to them. And so when I hear remarks like that, that tells me this is someone who has no understanding of the value of what even that person is living in, that this country has provided for this individual you had on to be able to say and speak his mind and his opinion freely. And so those comments about the guns is kind of ridiculous, but that's fine because I hear that a lot. I hear there's people, everybody has their opinions, their thoughts on this matter. But I have found that our society, who claims to be so intellectual, uses some of the strangest phrases and terms when we're talking about firearms. And I can get to that if you want to at some point, but I just want to mention that if we listen to the news, we listen to people at these town hall meetings, the phrases they use with reference to guns is absolutely ludicrous. And I will make people explain those comments when I hear them, even on the Senate floor. When the liberals speak out against the rights for people to have guns and they use these terms, I will make them explain to me just what is that supposed to mean. And I can give you an example. When I hear somebody, we've heard it, we want to get guns off the street. I don't know what that means because I drove commercial trucks for 33 years and I never seen a gun on the street. I never even seen one on the sidewalk waiting to cross the street. I'm asking, what street are they on? I'll get them. I've been spending my money at the gun shops. Now, people say I may be facetious. I'm not. It's their terms. If they're going to speak like that, okay, I'll get down to that level, and then I want them to explain to me just what does that mean. Right? We hear that, right? We hear guns falling in the wrong hands. And why is it they always fall into their hands? And from where are they falling from? Rooftops? Why don't they ever fall in their heads? Why is it always their hands? I'm not being silly. They make these remarks because they want to paint an image in minds of people, and it works real well, that they put it on the gun. It's the gun on the street, not the criminal with the gun. If they want to talk about we want to get criminals with guns off the street, I can talk about that. That makes sense, right? Doesn't it?
Yeah, what I say, they should ban bullets. If the guns are fine, just take away the bullets, and then there you go. If you throw a gun at somebody, I don't know. Well, I'm going to segue this into our current mayor. He decided that he's going to come out and say that he's going to move the gun. You can't buy this till you're 21. No assault rifles. Blah blah blah. A bunch of changes to the law. So. And basically, the city county council can make ordinances. How do you see that working out?
No, they can't, John. They can't. That was that preemption law. The preemption law that I passed in 2011 took away their authority to regulate guns. They can't regulate guns. They can't do that. They would be violating state law. Now, I want to tell you, when that bill passed, the ink hardly wasn't dry on the bill when it was signed into law. When the first city in the state decided they was going to violate the law. And Evansville was that city, the city that I live near. They learned the hard way because in the bill, the way I wrote it, that any political subdivision that violates this law is subject to treble damages in a court of law. And they did. They did get hit with treble damages. The lawyer that took the case told me that he didn't tell me how much money they received in that case, but he said it was substantial. Now, they paid a price. If Indianapolis decides they want to go through with this, they'll learn the same lesson. There was a few towns over the years early on that thought they was going to violate the law too. They thought they were still going to maintain their authority. Now, some of their attorneys in those towns decided, after looking at the law, decided it wasn't a good move to make. And some of them backed off. But every now and then one will pop up. And here in Indianapolis, they think violating this law is going to stop their crime. Two things is going to happen. It won't stop their crimes, but it will cost them some money.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's so this is a political stunt. Is this just sort of lip service? I mean, because our mayor has a long history, about 7 years of talking, and he's his own public safety director, and he's done nothing for our people here in Mars Hill, and he got to go. And so I'm going to think there's going to be some lawyers lining up for this, wouldn't you? How many could actually line up? How many guys? How many lawyers?
I don't know how many, but I know one for sure. And they're waiting. And they told me just recently they're hoping they try it because it makes a lot of money for them. And these cities will lose. They will lose because the law is very explicit. We did a lot of work on that piece of legislation, and that's been around now since 2011, and pretty much across the state, everybody's understood this is their limitations. They can't regulate guns. They've come to the realization they may not like it, but we have laws that a lot of times people don't like the law, but it's the law. And if you don't like the law and you want to break the law, well, I guess you have that option to do that. But I hope you got deep pockets.
Yeah, you better have consequence. I got a question for you. So would this fall under gun laws? I always thought that it was illegal to set off a firearm in Marion County. Would that fall under this? It's not about a gun thing, but is that true, false? Does anybody know what that is?
Well, on that law, when I wrote the original law, when I had the bill, it went through so much changes over in the House, and it was kind of dissected up so bad, disassembled. I was ready to just dissent on the bill when it came back because it was a train wreck. But I was able to get it back in shape again. The only thing I wasn't able to get in was the discharge of firearm. That they have control on the discharge of firearm, not at a gun range or anything, but a discharge. Like if somebody's in their backyard shooting tin cans, okay, they can control that. That's the only part. And so that was I did lose that piece out of the bill, but everything else is hands off for these.
And that would make sense in a rural county to do.
It does,
but Marion County, I mean, pretty much you shoot it unless you're down in Decatur, you're going to shoot somebody's house because we're really populated. And I'm not sure if that law is still in the books, but that was a question. Is that one of them? And I don't think that folks have a problem with that. But what I'm getting at,
I haven't heard any kickback on that one.
What I'm getting at is, we talk about, you talked about the guns not doing this, and you hear that it's not the guns, it's the person behind the gun. And to me, it's like, we have enough laws. Enforce the laws that we have and maybe make it stricter. I would even say, hey, you commit a crime with a gun, death penalty. I would slow at least one person down. I know that'd be real. That's probably going to give me some hate mail on this thing, but you know what? If we really want to get serious, let's make the punishment serious, right? So Lucy, I see Lucy. Lucy's got to have a question after all this back and forth. So go ahead, Lucy.
I guess what I'm most curious about is how we maintain our freedoms. So, Senator, when you've been in the Senate for a good amount of time, when you give advice to the younger generation, to those that are up and coming, how do you instill in them that sense of pride and gravity of knowing how important it is that we even have these rights, and instill in them that want to protect, that drive to protect the Second Amendment?
That's a good question. Over these 13 years, I've had a lot of different, all of us senators, we have sometimes different interns and LAs from year to year. Now, sometimes a legislative assistant, LA, may stay with us for several years. If they find another job, maybe pays more, they'll move on. But all these are pretty much young people. And when they come back and they ask me questions like what you're talking about, I want them to understand that the liberties and freedoms that we all enjoy, there was a heavy price paid for those. And today now we're seeing people just like what happens in Marion County and mayors across the state and other officials. When they're dealing with a hardship, maybe it's a crime issue like we're talking about right now, their approach is to write a law that punishes everybody. We can't do that. We can't do that. I remember years ago when we was talking about methamphetamine and they was wanting to ban the product, one of the key products of it, the
Pseudoephedrine stuff.
Sudafed. Yeah. One of the legislators told me, which I was opposed to that. I wasn't going to support that. Said, well, senators, sometimes good people have to pay for what bad people do. And I said, no.
No.
Oh my gosh. I'm tired of paying for that.
A fact, when I was being raised, my mom and dad raised myself and my brother. And when I screwed up, my dad didn't spank my brother. He spanked me. Mental note, don't do that again. So the idea that, well, we'll just have to write a law like this, and we're seeing this right now, especially with guns. They come up with these laws and bans and prohibitions across the country because of the criminal acts. And it's guns is not the problem. We have two problems. I've had a Catholic nun last year wanted to talk to me about guns. We sit down for an hour and a half. 2 weeks ago, I had a minister come to my house to talk about guns. And a few days ago, I had another person that was on the phone. We were talking about guns. They want to talk about gun control. Here's our problem. It's not guns. What we have a problem is human behavior and lack of moral conduct. You fix those two elements, that takes care of not just your crimes committed with firearms, but human trafficking, domestic violence, a person driving a car through a parade of people, someone pushing a lady off of a platform in a subway station. It takes care of all your crimes. Those two elements, those are human elements, human traits, not related to a gun. If they want to get on this subject and find a real solution, work on those two aspects. That's what I say.
Yeah, I agree with that. And but some pushback would be, well, if there was no guns, then you couldn't do as much. If you didn't have like a machine gun like Lucy's got back there, you could only. But you think about Timothy McVeigh, he had a truckload of fertilizer. So I think it's, or you hear the thing about, well, Cain killed Abel with a rock. It's so it does point back to your position of that's just the human, the sickness in our human nature of how much do you think social media and Lucy, and Tiffany, I'm going to get to you with a question, so be thinking of one here. How much do you think social media has to do with that? I look back at Columbine, we're talking about school shootings, and you think they really sensationalized that. They made a movie about it. There's songs about it. Teen Spirit. How much do you think that drives these things?
Oh, it's a factor. You asking me, John?
Yeah. Jumping on that. But
here's the thing about it. When I was growing up, and I've lived long enough now, I can say this. When I was a kid, we had guns. My dad had guns. There was guns in all kind of homes around here. They still are. We had guns back then. But I tell you what we didn't have. We didn't have gadgets that a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old gets put in their hand, and right away, as soon as an adult gets some gadget, sticks it in their hand for them to play with, and these games on these gadgets show slaughtering people and mutilating people and machine gun, all this kind of stuff. We didn't have that back then. Okay. That's what I'm talking about, this human trait, the human element, the human component. And what's happened in the past 70, 80 years is firearms have gotten better. Today's modern firearm has reached a point of near perfection. Today you have rarely do you see a recall on a firearm. But what has deteriorated is human behavior, right? The entertainment we have, movies, TV shows, commercials. Those are the things that's had an effect on what we're dealing with in our society. And of course, the internet, as you speak about, all of this coming at us 24/7. You can't get away from it. We're not built and designed for it. Those are the problems, not the element, not the tool, not the instrument, not the firearm. It's not the bullets, not the powders, not the primers. It's the human element. And if our legislators and people in office want to really get serious about it, like your mayor in Indianapolis, he wants to snap out of this lull about this cloudy idea of some kind of restrictions and go to where the source of the problem lies, and that's where it's at, then there would be progress made. But until then, if they focus on the gun all the time, I'm sorry, it's a rabbit hole. I won't go into it. I'm not going to call victim that stuff. So that's where I stand on that.
Yeah, it seems like it preaches, but it's not applicable. I mean, there's just, you heard the guy from Breda there. Since 2020, our gun sales have been soaring, and I really think it was, and I know a lot of folk here in Indianapolis. A lot of our stuff here in Indianapolis it gets to a point where it's retaliation, and a lot of it is drugs, and a lot of it is lack of economic opportunity, and it's frustration, whatever, and. But I know a lot of people that said, I have my gun for defense, and then they end up using it for not defense. So, it's if you're going to get a gun, you better be really, really disciplined to do it. So, Tiffany, do you have something fashioned up there on a question? I know you're like taking all this in, like, hey, Senator Thomas knows his stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And I love what you talked about, especially with the human element, because that's where we are. There's a lack of consequences for behaviors. People are bombarded with all kinds of violent images. So of course they act violent. We've got parents that aren't parenting. We have school systems that tell kids that they're victims, and we're just are where we are. So, but two questions. Well, one question, you can go in either direction. As a legislator, what can you and your colleagues do to help fix that human element, or what would you want to see people, parents, communities do to fix that human element?
Well, I like that question. We are almost kind of limited on that. We can help nurture good behavior. We can't, they say you can't legislate. That's true. You can't, but we can nurture it. By being a lawmaker, you can, when you're in your back in your districts and stuff, and you have town hall meetings, you can talk to people about what they could do, because we never hear that. It's always like the public is saying, what can you do? What will you do? But I'm thinking, really, the work lies in the hands of the people who's asking the question. It is the family. It is the people themselves. It is our churches and our clergy that needs to also take advantage when they have people coming to church on Sunday or Wednesday, whenever they have their church service. Not always just to talk about what's going on in the Bible and a passage from the Bible or the gospel, but also talk about current events and about things that's going on. Maybe that will help light up something in their mind about some of the issues that we're dealing with, these horrible criminal activities that we see in our society. They might recognize, you know what, I think we have a little bit of that in our own home with our own children. And that's where the work comes from, is the parents. And it's parents, a mother and a father. Margie and my wife and I, we've visited these schools, a lot of schools in my district, and I love going to these schools. I really love the small grades, the kindergarten, the first grade, second. I love these classes. But the kids, some of them are coming out of homes that I can't even imagine what them homes are like. And I know when they're in their school, they're in an environment where they know there's people who love them, take care of them. They got food. Sometimes the teachers even change out their clothes because they come to school in dirty clothes. And they're understanding and feeling that love and that, but they don't have it in their home. And that's where they're at. And that's where it should be at. And so sometimes people are called parents. They're not really parents. They're not really parents. They're not doing what a parent's require. And that's part of our problem. And that takes us back to the two elements to talk about. But what society can do on that is try to work together, neighborhoods working together, communities working together with each other, and trying to help these parents and their children that's walking the streets and keep them away from these gangs and stuff like that. I want to say this to you, and maybe people won't get mad about this, but I can't understand. I've talked to those in the Black community too, as white community as well. But when a child's walking out that door, 12-year-old, and is walking out and his pants are hanging down where it's showing the whole world his underwear, and the parent lets him go out and say, instead of saying, wait, you come back here and you get dressed properly. You put on a belt, you pull the pants up, you wear shoes, and you talk like somebody, because I want you to be somebody. You are somebody. Those kids need that. They need to hear that, right? They need loving, but they need discipline. And those are elements too, human elements. And those are things that we can start turning this around. We can't make a 90-degree turn. I wish we could, but we can't. But we can start bending the curve.
Yeah, and that's I do substitute teaching, and discipline and respect. We're just And I think we're afraid to, and I don't think I'm as up in years as you are, but I'm a baby boomer, and those other two on top of there, they're just youngsters. And it's not like it was back when I was a kid. I'll tell you that. And, and it's not supposed to be, but, we need discipline and respect is a good start to things. So, okay. Well, that is, anybody else have any more questions? Okay. One more for Tiffany.
I want to follow up. Sir, I love your commentary on where we are with parenting and the environment that a lot of these children live in. And I do think that communities, we do need to wrap our arms around parents. I know some of these kids are in single parent households, but we do need to wrap our arms around those parents that are doing their best.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because, that's the situation that they're in. And, it's not just, money for benefits, but it's moral support.
Yes.
I'm divorced. And when I was raising Michaela on my own, I had a network of single mom friends. And, I would always say that every working mom needed a stay home mom to support her so that if something happened, they could help out, or you always knew what was going on. But we do need to do what we can to help parents, work together and create support systems where they don't have them. And I remember growing up, I turned 50 a week ago. And I remember growing up, if somebody's mom or dad saw you doing something and they told your parents, it was gospel.
We heard
God
that.
telling Moses.
We heard that from the cities we've been in, and they've told us they used to tell them, and the kids knew that. The kids knew it. You're right. And those, we can go back to that. We can go back to that. Those are the things that we can, there's where we would get results. Talking about banning a type of a magazine of how many rounds, what in the world is that going to do? But what you just said, that has effect. That's dynamite, what you just talked about.
I can remember my dad was in the Army, he's a Vietnam vet, went to the Korean War. We lived in Germany. I was in first or second grade. I remember I had like one of those little cups that pudding came in, and I was eating it outside and I just tossed it. Mm-hmm. Jesus, that piece of trash beat me home.
and you remember that to this day, right? To this day, you can remember just that as though it happened yesterday, right?
Yes. And my mom was like, did you really throw this down? And I think that in that instance, it wasn't what I did. It was that my mom was embarrassed that somebody brought that home and that her kid did that. And she remembered giving me the pudding cup. But nowadays, if somebody tells you what your kid did, they'd be like, well, who are you? And no, he did. And he can do whatever he wants.
There you go.
There's a little bit of that.
And so we don't have that. We don't have that network between parents. We don't have that trust. There's not that spirit of community and trying to raise kids and do what's best for them. So it is, as much as you're in a disadvantaged household, you're in a disadvantaged community with a disadvantaged mindset. I mean, there's just so much going on, but I would love to see something that just reached out to like single moms. They've got it really tough.
We've got to hold on to that. We cannot let go. Though it seems like it's insurmountable, it can be done. And we and it starts small, just like you said. But we can do that. But we have to do it. And we can't say, well, I want the government to do it. It's our duty. Right, it's our duty, and we should take on that obligation. Yeah, that was great. I like that story because I can identify with it too.
It's like good. Well, here in Mars Hill, it's a underserved neighborhood. We've been here. We had the art center since 8 years ago, and we've lived here 6 years ago. And my wife Lisa was teaching crafts down at the art center on 2 Tuesdays, and this gives kids things to do. But we've had, we've gone 4 summers without, we had a double homicide. It was a drug thing here about 4 years ago. Oh yeah, I'm telling you, it was, but we're getting neighbors together to do just what you said, to look out for each other. People follow me on Facebook. We had a Breaking Bad RV that was rolling around and we got him out of here, but we got him out of here without being friendly. I took them some meals and we got, hey, come to Recovery Out Loud if you want to get, we have things. We're not going to just come after you and not have remedies and solutions. Sure. And once people start hearing that in your neighborhood, they start thinking, hey, those people care. That John and Lisa, and then Richard and Amy, and all these people that care in our neighborhood. That can spread just as it spreads slower than the bad. The bad will spread really quickly. So yeah, this has been a very good conversation, and I knew that this would be something we need to talk about. And I'm going to take this moment to say to somebody on the other side that thinks they should ban guns, I'll give you the same amount of time on this. We'll talk about it, and that's what Jim on our show. That's why we have Mark Small on here, because we want to look at all angles of what's going on. So if you're a person out here watching this and thinking that, look at these crazy right wingers over there wanting to tote their guns up in the laundromat and whatnot. Hey, come on, let's go. We got people here that'll talk about it. So we appreciate that. Now we're going to do the conspiracy theory. And I found my original conspiracy theory segue, because by popular demand, because it is definitely, I got my hillbilly teeth going and everything. So Jim, you can stick around. You don't have to have a conspiracy, but if you do, that'd be great. So okay. Here you go. Let's play that.
Well, and, I do need a new conspiracy. All my other ones have come true.
Okay, I got yeah. Oh, now you sound like Lucy. You sound like Lucy on that one. So all right, let's do this.
Hey y'all, it's time for the conspiracy theory, so you better get your tinfoil hat out and let's see what's going on this week.
All right, let's put our people in the right spot here. Okay, here you go. So I got to get my antennas up for this one tonight. I actually worked on mine. Usually I make one up at the last minute. So, but we're going to start with our all-star conspirafact person tonight. That's Lucy. It's conspirafact. So Jim, she's a lot like you. So all that stuff's come true. And if it doesn't have Bill Gates in it, I'm shutting the show down.
Well, I will say that Bill Gates is definitely involved. But the first thing that I want to say is I can take off my tinfoil hat, but those that took the jab can't take that RNA out.
Oh.
Anyway, that's all Bill Gates' fault too. So let's talk about Bill Gates, because I'm sure there is some way that he is involved in gun control. I mean, he's done everything else, to ruin our lives. But I guess part of my conspiracy fact today is I'm just going to express gratitude that Bill Gates does not manufacture guns. We have Glock and Beretta and other really great manufacturers, because if Bill Gates manufactured guns like he manufactures windows, we'd all be in a world of hurt.
Remember Clippy from the 90s?
We'd be on the Glock 12.
Yeah.
I refuse. I'm on Windows 10 and I refuse to upgrade. I have to stay on Windows 10. I can't do it. Every time it's like, it just gets you every time. So yeah, that would be bad. Now Senator Tomes, Tiffany always has, she doesn't have a conspiracy here, but she sometimes has dating tips or makeup tips. So, which are, both very happy. And so I would be remiss if, in the past, she's talks about her boyfriend who is Bigfoot. So I have to put a flash in. And if you want to see the real Bigfoot, that's down at the, one of the exits on 74 on the way to Cincinnati. You can go buy that statue if you want to. I just saw it and I snapped a picture just for Tiffany. So Tiffany, what do you have for us tonight? You got a makeup tip? What do you got?
I've captured yet another Bigfoot. This one's out of Louisville. We've had 2 interactions, and he seems to be a normal kind of Bigfoot. Nothing crazy yet. So
wish me like cookies. Did you trap him with the cookies?
Right. Wish me luck, because I'm sure that I'll do something to make him go run back into the forest.
Yeah. You got a long list of Bigfoot, but at least you got him. So I had a couple of conspiracy theories. There's been a lot of UFO stuff going on here lately, but I'm going to go with this one. This is the dead internet theory. This is all the stuff we're doing right now is just procedurally generated content. So this is all bots that are doing this. We aren't real people. Senator Tomes is a bot. Lucy, you're definitely a bot. Tiffany, I don't know. You might be. I don't know. But this is all make believe. All make believe.
So this is the Matrix. This is the Matrix.
Matrix, yeah. Well, it's similar to the Matrix, but it's run by bots. It's a cross between the Matrix, the Terminator, and then I don't know if you've ever had to do something online and it says, "Are you a robot?" They just want to know that and you have to say you're not a robot. So that just tells you right there that everybody else is robots. So I mean, I've given you some evidence there.
So then aren't they discriminating against robots? It's like, what if I am a robot?
No, you are a robot. So you're discriminating against me because I have to check I'm not a robot.
That's
was that
descriptive.
confusing?
Because if you don't check it, then you can't go any further.
Right. Yeah, it's like,
don't worry.
So
AI
but that's a ruse. That's a ruse because everybody else is robots. They just want to make sure that they know not to let you get into the other part of the internet. So
it's a club and we're not in it.
It's a club and you ain't in it. It is robot. So Senator Thomas, do you have a conspiracy theory or anything that you want to give out there that,
Well, I don't know if I have any. I do know that I'm mystified by all the electronic stuff we have today, the computers, the cell phones, and now I've seen a story today where Elon Musk has got some device now that they're going to put it in it's the size of a quarter. They're going to put it in your skull, and it will help people like quadriplegics or somebody like that. It's got like 64 prongs. It's a story today. You can read it. It was a Fox News story and it's going to have all these remarkable applications for people who have had disabilities or accidents where they're paralyzed or something like that. But also, it will allow a person to play a video game. It can interface with a computer without touching a computer. Now, I'm just thinking stuff like this here. It's like gives me a little bejeebies about it. On a computer you talk about, I'm not that good about computers. And when I'm pressing buttons on my computers, I don't like it when it pops up a window and says, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I don't want my computer to ask me questions. And no, I don't know. Why are you asking me? Am I sure? And then I press the button. It's the wrong button. And then everything goes crazy. And now I got to get my friend who's a guru to come over here and get my computer back again. So I don't know. Maybe there's something out there that does this on purpose. Maybe there's somebody behind the screen that knows they got somebody here in front that doesn't know what he's doing on the computer. And they like to have fun.
I think they call that the AI thing. That definitely is in the big news thing now. Yeah. AI, artificial intelligence, which I've been playing artificially intelligent my whole life. So
yeah, if I can follow up on that, one of the things I think is interesting is everything with Chat GPT and being able to put in ideas and having it spit out, letters, essays, and things of that nature. I think it's going to get to the point where people no longer have to think. But then also we're no longer going to have to be thoughtful, like help me write a text to break up with my girlfriend, or write a letter of congratulations for a friend when they graduate, or help me express sadness for somebody who's grieving. I mean, we will get to the point where we will be so devoid of thought and feelings and thoughtfulness that we will be worse than robots. I don't know, Lucy, what would we be? Just like zombies? I mean,
we already have those people. They're called Democrats.
There you go. I like that. Yes.
Oh yeah. Now we're never going to get a Democrat on the show.
What we call them in my household, we call them NPCs, non-playable characters. So that's when you're playing a video game and it's completely controlled by the computer.
Yes.
So you're not interacting with a real live person. That's that, and that is in the liberty community. That's like a term that we often use is NPCs. So we're describing those people who think that things are actually conspiracy theories, they don't realize that every board meeting of every organization is a conspiracy because more than one person, two people or more get together to make something better for themselves, and they conspire. Every board meeting at Coca-Cola is a conspiracy. And people just don't understand the plain meaning of words, which is why, Jim, I just thought you were absolutely brilliant when you said, we're going to get the guns off the streets. Where are these guns that I could just go pick up off the streets? Why am I buying them?
I got a gun tree in the backyard. Grows bullets on half and guns on the other. Yeah. Well, it's very interesting times we have these days. You feel like, some people don't feel safe to go out. I generally do. Never purchased a firearm. I got a couple hunting guns that have been passed down. But it's just interesting times. So Jim, if you'll stick around after we get done here, anybody else have any other comments here before I push the button for the end of the show? I don't know who we have a guest next week. Go ahead, Tiffany.
I have one thing. So here in Fishers, our police chief is Chief Ed Gephardt. He is the absolute best police chief in the state of Indiana. And Fishers is the 5th safest place to live in the United States. And we had a conversation with him about young people, guns, and mass shootings in schools. And we were talking to him. And I said, well, Chief, what's the number one thing that we can do to support you and the people who work for you? And he said, have dinner with your children. Like sit down at a table, eat dinner, and talk to them and spend time with them. Because usually when something happens, children know before things happen. So you got kids in high school, kids in junior high, elementary, sit down and eat dinner with your kids. That's straight from Chief Gephardt.
I had a dinner with my daughter who is 29, and we caught up on some other things, and she got to rat out her brothers and sisters, all the bad stuff they did when they were kids, which I already knew about. I mean, it's like kids think we play dumb just so sometimes so we don't have to confront the issue, but we know what's going on that stuff. So, all right. Any last words? I'm pushing the button.
Well, so I just want to say I've really enjoyed this. Tiffany, Lucy, and John, you wonderful people, and I liked your comments. I liked your questions, and this has been a pleasure for me. I really have enjoyed it.
Yeah,
we love it, and we love it. And like I said, the reason if you can't get a hold of your people that represent you, don't vote for them. And I got that going right now with my people here. That Andre Carson. I'm trying to get some help here in the floodplain with the federal FEMA floodplain in Mars Hill. And
let me say this, John, if I may. When I got elected, and I started off with this right off the bat with my staff, and I've talked to audiences before about this. Here's the way it works. If you get elected or appointed to office, I don't care what it is. Wherever you may have imagined yourself to be in a social lineup, when you take that job, you're a public servant. You're at the bottom of the list now. You're at the very bottom. You're the servant. And in a state, you have 6.5 million people, and that's how many employers you have. So whether you're a senator or what, that's how many people you work for. You work for them. That's why I answer all the calls and all the emails I get.
Yeah, and you got quite a few fans watching tonight here. I'm putting some up there. We got a great show. We got 3, not 1 thumbs up, 3 of them. 3 thumbs up. I mean,
he's a
I
robot.
got 2 thumbs. Yeah, that's definitely a robot. It's definitely robot thumbs. And look at them. They're yellow. Who's got yellow thumbs? I don't know anybody that's got them. So, but this has been a great show. We've really enjoyed having you on, Jim. Stick around after this because it'll go blank, but I'll bring you back on, and let's send this one home to Mother. And then we'll be on Channel 40 next week at 9:30 Monday, and that is an edited version of this. It's a half hour long, and sometimes if you can't catch that, and then we're also working this thing on a podcast. So someday we'll be a real show, right?
But Senator Toms, if you look at this on TV next week, when he edits it, it's the John show. It's just like John, like talking to himself.
You're killing me, Tiffany. There's there's only a half hour, and you can't even fit my head in an hour. So you want me to fit my?
Well, Tiffany, I'll get my agent on that.
Oh, God.
All right. Hey, and make sure you get your check. John, make sure you pay him.
Yeah, everybody, raise your hand if you get paid for this job. And I'm going to call this show Mutiny on the Mouthwash. All right.
Yep. See, make yourself a martyr. Yep.
Hey, I'm a victim. I'm a victim, baby. Come on now. All right. We'll see you all next week. Same time, same station, same everything. Thanks, Senator Toms. Thanks, Lucy. Thanks, Tiffany.
Yeah.